Universal Audio, Bill Putnam Jr.
Thanks, Amanda. Well, thanks everyone for coming. We survived NAMM for the first couple hours. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the next iterations of our Apollo system. First I wanted to talk a little bit about who we are and where we come from. My dad founded Universal Audio in the 50s, and about 10 years before that he started recording studios in Chicago. He had a room there where he recorded a lot of the early blues, early rock and roll, big bands, and out of the needs of the studio, well, first of all, he was a recording engineer and he was also an electrical engineer, and the needs of the studio drove him to design and build his own gear that fit the problems that a studio owner had. And at that time you couldn't just go down the street and pick up what you needed. You really had to adapt equipment from broadcast or phone, and he did that. And that principle of building tools to meet the needs and problems of the studio is something that still informs what we do today. In the late 90s, my brother and I restarted the company, and the vision then, at that time, everyone remembers these terrible philosophical wars between analog and digital, and everybody was blasting how digital sounded and how they missed the sound of analog warmth and the character and all the soul and heart that had been lost in the process in the transition to digital. And I knew that that just fundamentally didn't have to be true. And so our vision that we set ourselves to was to bring all that warmth and character, analog soul, to the world of digital. We're in Scotts Valley now. We have over 100 employees, and we've grown to building that, both starting with our analog side, which we still build. Our first products that we started to build when we came back in the 90s was the LA2A, 1176, and that handcrafted analog heritage really permeates through all of what we do. 3 years ago today, I had the pleasure of announcing Apollo, which was Universal Audio's recording interface. And it was a product that had been long in the making. We had this idea of bringing analog and digital together in one product, and it really, more than anything we've done, really synthesized the two and brought the two sides of our character together. Today we have over 90 plugins, approaching 100 plugins that'll run on Apollo in real-time, low latency, that you can track or monitor through. And again, Apollo was built with sound quality in mind. First of all, it had to sound great, which we uphold as the highest and most important standard, is to make stuff that sounds good. And indeed, the world-class sound of Apollo is the first pillar that it sits on. Also, it brings real-time UAD processing, low latency, less than 2 milliseconds, about 1.1 millisecond latency of 96 to the Apollo platform. And last year, I was up here announcing Unison technology, which again is the next step, or was the next step, in this synthesis between analog and digital. It's a hybrid technology that lets us do things like emulate mic preamplifiers and address the last link, which is the interaction between the signal processing and the real world. When you plug a microphone into a preamplifier or a guitar into a piece of equipment, they interact together. The Unison technology lets us model that and gave us what we needed to do in DSP to finish off the rest of the story and model mic preamplifiers. I'm going to hand it over to Lev. He's going to talk about the next iteration in the Apollo system and how it's been expanded to meet the needs of the current recording studio.
Bill Putnam, everybody. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Apollo Expanded today. My name is Lev. I'm just going to take you through, right now. Can we get any louder? All right. No. So I'm going to take you through Apollo Expanded, tell you what it means in a couple of minutes. Give you guys a quick idea. Apollo Expanded is really built on 3 ideas. The first is expand your studio. Now, we came out with Apollo Twin 1 year ago. We came out with Apollo 16 2 years ago. And as Bill mentioned, this is the 3-year anniversary of the original Apollo. Today we're announcing that you're now finally able to mix and match them via Thunderbolt. This is a really big deal if you were saying, oh, you know, the 16 is just exactly what I need to be able to hook up outboard gear, maybe get into a console. The Apollo is great because it's got a little bit of everything. The Twin is great because it's got that local sort of desktop location on your desk where you can just plug right into it. And now with a simple Thunderbolt connection for each interface, you can aggregate them. And we're not just aggregating, say, the driver, or not just aggregating the mixer or the console application. We're aggregating all 3 in a very fluid way. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. we've got a new feature called Flex Driver. And this literally lets you take all of the inputs that you've got in any of your up to 4 Apollos and choose which inputs and outputs get routed to and from core audio. And this is a really big deal for Pro Tools users. It allows us to choose which inputs and outputs get into the 32 channel limit that we've got there. And it also, again, just allows you to get really specific for your studio. We can even go into the names and rename them. So if you've got very specific equipment hooked up to your inputs on your Apollo, you can call it NAMM2015 if you've got an outboard 1073, for example, and that will show up in the DAW. So Flex Driver is a great new technology. We're going to be showing you that today. Other things going on with the Thunderbolt bus that are really exciting. We've got full audio aggregation and clocking, all happening over Thunderbolt. So you don't have to connect Thunderbolt and a word clock cable. All of the clocking happens over Thunderbolt as well. The last added benefit of mix and matching Apollo is when you take the Apollo Twin and you aggregate it with, say, a rack device, it will actually act as a remote control for the monitoring device. So even though your Apollo rack mount is in the rack connected to speakers, this little guy will actually control your monitoring right from the interface. So it's a really cool aggregation. The second pillar of Apollo Expanded is expand your sound. And this really has to do with expanding the types of plugins that we have. Everybody knows Universal Audio makes great compressors, great EQs, great reverbs, but we're really venturing into new plugin types with Apollo Expanded software. The first one that I'd like to tell you about just very quickly is Woodworks by Sound Machine. This is an amazing new plugin that allows you to get the sound of a mic'd acoustic guitar by using the piezo output of your acoustic guitar. So this is really big for a lot of us that don't have the most ideal recording environment. If you're in a noisy apartment building or something like that, and you want to get the sound of a great acoustic, take the piezo out of your acoustic guitar, bring up this plugin, and you'll get the sound as if it were mic'd in the studio. So this is a really, really big deal. Woodworks by Sound Machine. We've got some new pedals that are coming to the UAD platform. The Distortion Essentials bundle is 3 amazing sounding distortion pedals. On top of being the best sounding emulations of pedals ever done, they also feature unison technology. Bill talked about unison technology. I'm going to talk about it in just a second, but it really does simulate the physical interactions of what would happen if you had, say, a real guitar pedal, you plugged into it, and then you plugged it into your interface. The big difference with unison is that it's all in the box. We've got a new announcement with Antares, a partnership. We're going to be bringing Antares Autotune Live to the platform. This is a big deal because it means that you can actually tune your vocals or instruments in real time with Apollo with no latency. So you can literally have it going with a microphone, sing into it, and it will repitch based on a scale. Or you can send it MIDI from a keyboard or a DAW, and it will repitch the audio in real time. Last but certainly not least, the Friedman Amplifiers collection by Brainworks is a collection of 2 high-gain boutique amplifiers that exist in the hardware world that will now be coming to the UAD platform, all available in low latency. So I talked about these new plugins. Again, there's going to be demonstrations of them throughout the day and also on our side pods over here. But all of this is built on the core technology of real-time UAD processing, one of the core technologies that you find in Apollo. And what it gives users is the ability to track through the entire library of UAD-powered plugins in real time with no latency. You can get 1.1 millisecond round-trip latency all the time, regardless of your buffer setting, regardless of your computer's power. That's a real feature that you only find on Apollo. And it really does help if you have a less powerful computer. Building on top of real-time UAD processing, I talked about unison technology. Last year we debuted this with Apollo Twin, and then we put it out for the Apollo. And it really gave us the ability to mimic what's going on with the best preamps ever made. So now we've got the 610, we've got the API Vision console, and we've got the NAMM1073, all working with unison technology, and it really does give you the great sound of these classic preamps. So the third pillar of Apollo Expanded is expand your control, and that's done with Console 2.0 software. I'm going to give you guys just a quick little taste of what Console 2.0 can do. Console 2.0 is really the result of all of the great feedback that we've been getting from our users. It's got over 25 new features, including a brand new 64-bit Retina UI with all sorts of enhancements to the usability and the workflow. We've got things like channel strip presets, drag and drop plugins, a ton of great monitoring improvements like bulk monitoring and dim, and we now have the ability to record or monitor each plugin per channel. That was a big user request from the power users. So I'm going to go ahead and just switch over very quickly to Console 2.0. This is the interface, and I think the most important thing to know is that it's fully dynamic. You know, you can resize the console and you kind of get a bigger or smaller UI based on what you want to do, even taking it all the way down to just one channel with a couple of other monitoring functions is maybe a very practical application for it. But let me go ahead and make it larger. You can sort of see what's going on with the interface. At the very top, we've got this new meter bridge, and it allows us to very fluidly navigate our session. So you can see I've actually got 3 Apollos connected here. I've got the Apollo 16, and the Apollo Twin right here. And they all aggregate inside of this new UI. And again, it's as easy as just sort of navigating from left to right to get to the channels of the different interfaces. And they all aggregate into the common monitor output, so you can hear any of the inputs in the exact same mixer. So again, mixer aggregation is the first core of our new mix and match functionality. But with Console 2.0, you know, it really is all about real-time UAD processing, unison technology. So we wanted to make it really easy to go ahead and just start assigning plugins. So let me just show you that really quick. To assign a plugin, really all you need to do is click on this plus sign. You're going to get a list of categories, so very quick to find something. So maybe I want to find the dynamics, and I want to assign my favorite compressor. So now I've now put this plugin in there. But again, now you might want to do other things, like maybe you want this compressor with these settings on another channel. It's really quick to just hold down Option and drag to now copy it to multiple places. So I've just quickly copied and pasted 4 of the same plugin with their settings to other channels. Another good example of plugin handling that we've done in Console 2.0 is the ability to do even more sort of bulk commands like this. So on the side, we've got these quick modifiers. So we've got this great copy-paste mode. If I hit copy, select the plugin I want to copy, it's now going to tell me, here's all the places that you can paste to. And to paste, all I do is swipe. So I just swiped over, and now I've got multiple copies easily done. In the same sense, if I wanted to turn all the power off, turn all the DSP power off to save DSP, I can go into power mode and just swipe across here, and you can see now it's turned off the power for all these plugins. So very quick brush strokes that you can make to quickly assign plugins, quickly make them active, inactive, or just very simply drag and drop them. Let me show you another thing with plugin handling. It's a really big deal. In Console 2.0, we've got something called channel strip presets. So let's say that I bring up this plugin right here, and I wanted to now manage this as sort of a strip. Now the traditional thing, if you guys use a DAW today, you know, you've got kind of the big app in the background, and then you've got these floating plugin windows, and you sort of have to manage them, right? The new channel strip feature and channel strip presets in Console 2.0 allows you to take them and basically gobbles them up into one manageable window. And you can scroll around and you can see all the different plugins on the channel. And then it's just as easy to store that as a preset. So if I come in here and hit presets and hit save, let's go ahead and just call this number 1. I've now stored that as my number 1 preset. And to recall that, you just go to any channel you want, click on the inserts header, and hit number 1. And there you can see it's now assigned that strip to the channel. So very quick to recall entire chains of plugins on any Apollo. You can take these and you can save them, you can store them, you can recall them on an Apollo Twin, an Apollo, or an Apollo 16. So very, very cool for just the workflow and the usability. And what's really nice is that, let's say you've got one of these channel strips open, it's very easy to sort of go in and out of an individual plugin or the channel strip view. You can also, from the plugin, go to the other plugin on the channel just with this little menu. And what's also nice is you have the ability to very easily now navigate through different presets. So let me give you an idea. This is the API 550. It's a classic 500 series compressor, but there's all these different great presets that we have that now with our improved plugin handling allow us to audition the plugin presets in real time. So very, very easy to do that. And then when I'm done, I can just go back into the full view and see that I've got this whole channel strip going on, and I can store that as an alternative preset if I like. So that's a good example of multi-unit, all in one session, some of the plugin preset enhancements and the new channel strip presets. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Amanda, who's going to tell you a little bit more about how to find more information.
Thank you very much, Lev. Some great information there. This is a really exciting release for us. So Apollo Expand is going to be shipping March 2015, and it is free for all Apollo owners. A bunch of it is for Mac Thunderbolt. If you would like some more information, you can go to uaudio.com/NAMM-PressKit. There you will be able to get photos of all the plugins and all the console application, as well as a copy of the press release. Or if you would like a analog version of the press release, we've modeled an analog press release for you here. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a great show, everyone.